hamburger New Zealand style. Rich and peppery steak and mushrooms in a flaky handmade pie might make this your new go-to comfort food. Sue Neal, one of our favorite foodie friends, has a step-by-step guide for these savory meat pies. Sue, these smell awesome. Give us some background on this.
It's always the onions.
Oh,
that gets you every time.
It's so good.
Because there's sugar in them.
And they just
That's
make your
why.
breath so good. Okay, there you go.
And so New Zealand does do a mince pie with hamburger, but these are actually steak. It's actually a chuck roast. It's actually one of the least expensive cuts.
So could you do it with a hamburger, or this is just a version?
They call them mince. So mince and mushroom, mince and cheese. But our favorite was the my husband's was peppered steak, and mine was steak and mushrooms. So I combined the two and made a peppered steak and mushroom meat pie when I got home. And my husband says it's better than anyone that he had in New Zealand. He may just be nice, but I don't think so.
I'm feeling it because it looks beautiful, and I love it because it kind of has the man-woman appeal in it. I mean, you've got the
yeah, exactly. I've got to have something besides just meat in it,
this
right?
looks pretty darn good. All right, take us through this.
Okay.
How do we make this?
Sure. So the first thing you want to do, and I've left some of this raw so you could see, this is a chuck steak. It just needs a low and slow. This cooks for 5 to 6 hours. Like just the meat, just on its own.
Goodness.
So about 3/4 inch cubes. Okay, you're going to trim all the fat and everything off of it. Then in a searing hot pan, we'll see what happens here because I never know.
We're going to see some smoke,
and,
people.
I've got some really good. Have you ever tried to sear something and it turned out steaming and gray?
Yes.
Has that ever happened to you? Good, because it happens to me all the time. So I've got some really good tips. I don't really have time to go into it today, but if you go on my blog, I'm going to really detail how to do that and some really easy ways for you to know exactly how to sear.
Okay, so keeping searing away, keeping your meat from turning gray while you're searing on your blog.
Exactly. You want a hard sear on this, okay?
Okay.
Once that's done, and I actually divide the 1.5 pounds of meat into thirds. I'll do a third, take it out.
Just so that you make sure that it's pretty thorough in how you're doing it.
If you overcrowd the pan, it'll steam.
Oh, and that's my biggest weakness.
I know.
It's because we're in a hurry.
I know.
Let's just get this thing done. All right.
So this is what it looks like after cooking 5 to 6 hours, about 6. It's super tender.
But you're not leaving it cooking in this. You're stirring and then
taking it out.
Okay.
And then what you'll have, look at this for a second. This is what I've been doing my onions and mushrooms in.
Okay, so we're moving over to onions and mushrooms.
This is called glaze or fond. Now, when you do your meat, you're going to have more than that. You're going to have tons of it. So when you're done doing your meat,
you're talking about the juice that's kind of left over at the bottom.
It's called the glaze. See how hard that is? But if you put your broth in that, 2 cups of broth, it'll pull all that up and it integrates into the liquid and you have like this super flavorful broth. Okay? You pour that off and that's what this is. You'll end up with about a cup.
So it's looking kind of like a gravy almost.
Right.
A little thinner.
And at this point, you can just, boy, that's making a lot of noise. You know what? We're turning that off. That's making a lot of shush.
It's bubbling in my ears.
Okay, so the next step, at this point you can put this in the fridge for 3 days and get back to it, but we're gonna continue. The next step is to make all the stuff that binds that together. In this pan for about a half an hour, I've been cooking onions and mushrooms till all those sugars have been released.
So you've got, I mean, this has been going 30 minutes.
Yeah,
so I'm searing your meat while you're doing this at the same time.
I'm coaxing all, we'll see if that makes it go quiet. I'm coaxing all that flavor out. Okay, so after 30 minutes, I'm ready to put more butter in it.
Oh, the good stuff.
Yeah, butter.
All right.
I've been using oil up until now.
Okay.
Then we called it pepper steak. This is a solid teaspoon of pepper. Scary. I actually, probably next time I make it, will probably do,
and that's just regular pepper. I mean, this is the good old
I did freshly ground, get a little workout.
Okay. Ooh, yeah, I can smell.
Fresh rosemary, fresh thyme, and garlic, but you could easily just use like a smaller quantity of dried if you don't have, okay? And so you're going to just, I've turned this down, but this is all going to get mixed in.
Okay.
Cook it for about a minute just to get that garlic cooked. Oh, and then your salt. Now, normally I would taste first because
before you add
salt. But about a teaspoon works, okay?
I don't think you can ever go wrong with more salt. But
now, to thicken it, because if you had it that loose, you mentioned that's like a thin gravy.
Right.
Way too thin, right? It'd just fall out of the meat pie. We're going to do 3 tablespoons of flour. Let's do that much. And we're going to cook that for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Till that raw flour taste is gone. Okay, but we don't have time to do that, so pass me the broth.
Moving on, people.
Moving on, the next step is, go ahead, pour that in.
Pour this in.
See, look how gorgeous that is.
It is pretty. Kind of this golden brown.
It's amazing. I know. Now, this will thicken as it cooks, right? Just like it always, why isn't this going?
And so how long are we letting this simmer?
Just like 2-3 minutes.
So after you've cooked them for half an hour, you're simmering for a couple minutes.
Oh, there we go. Now it's moving. Yeah. So once that thickens, then you're ready to put your meat in.
Okay, let's see how we build this.
Well, first we got to get our meat in, or it's not a meat pie.
All right.
So
anti-meat pie.
It's super tender, right? So if you just started stirring that in, it would all start shredding. So you want to carefully just fold.
Okay, so this meat is so tender because it cooks so long.
So long,
that
right?
You're just kind of barely
that's
mixing
it. That's the filling. You got to let that.
And that looks
Here's
beautiful.
one little trick. Where did it go? One little trick to know the texture's right. It's not going to work. See if I pull this back, how right away that fills in.
Right.
See, like that.
You want it to take a second?
That's way too liquidy. Your meat pie is going to go all over the place. But as this starts to cook and thicken,
cook it down.
When you pull that back. See, it's really not working now. When you pull that back, it would take about 2-3 seconds for everything to fill in.
Perfect.
So that's a good tip to know that your texture is right. If it's a little too thick, add a little bit of water. If it's too thin, go back with a little bit of paste.
All right, let's build these babies.
Well, I would love to, except that
that
wasn't hot enough. But we're just gonna pretend. So when that's thick, let it cool off 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
And then you put it in, because if you put hot filling in there, it's just gonna melt your dough. Okay. So let's just pretend it's on.
So in a perfect world, that meat is actually in this pastry shell.
Yeah, let's just pretend.
Use your imagination.
Okay. Now, in New Zealand, a lot of times they'll use what's called a rough puff. It's kind of a cross between a puff pastry and a short crust or a pie crust.
Okay, yeah.
But that's a whole other segment. So today we're just going to do.
We've got a few segments in here.
We got pie crust, and this is great. This works really well. Pie crust on the bottom because it can hold it up, and this is puff pastry. So you're just going to put water all around the edges.
So it's actually different on the bottom than the top.
Because you look at how cute that is. I mean, you want that puffiness. Now, I like to cut off my edges here.
Okay, and trim the edges. And then how long are we?
And then just make something
some pretty
pretty
decorative
on
things.
it. Yeah, see, it's soaking, it's dropping because it's not filled. But then you're just gonna brush that with an egg wash, put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 30 minutes.
Okay, and you have to show them this final product over here. It's lovely.
This is really filling.
Okay.
It looks small, but I'm telling you, I could barely finish mine when I had it for dinner the other day.
This one packs a punch,
all it needs is a
doubt.
little bit of a salad. You can serve it as like a dinner party. I think like a casual dinner party. By the way, these little bags, they always serve them in bags. So I found these on Amazon. I'll post the link on my blog.
I love it, Sue. Thanks so much. And tell us where we can find out about your card classes and everything you do.
So on my blog, www.sueneal.blogspot.com. Don't you wish that was shorter? I have
I have
my next class, and it's called Wing and a Prayer. And if you've never taken a card class, this is the one to take because it is super easy. And I'm teaching all through the end of the week.
Awesome. So thank you so much.